Great Chefs Television presents The Women, a treasury of elegant cooking featuring some of America's greatest female chefs. From New York City, Debra Ponzek, Zarela Martinez, and Lynne Aronson. From New Orleans, Susan Spicer. From Boston, Jodie Adams. From San Francisco, Elka Gilmore and Emily Luchetti. And from Chicago, Gale Gand.
From the Tribeca section of Manhattan, the first course is presented at the three-star French restaurant, Montrachet. During this taping, the executive chef was Debra Ponzek. A CIA graduate, she was named Rising Chef of the Year by the James Beard Foundation in 1992. She offers a signature dish, pasta with wild mushrooms.
The first step for the pasta with wild mushrooms is to saute some mirepoix in a little bit of olive oil.
The mirepoix also includes chopped carrots and chopped shallots.
Saute it lightly without any color. I have some shiitake stems that you can either just dice up or grind up. And add to the mirepoix. Now the mixture gets covered with the chicken stock. And cooks for about 20 minutes. When it's finished cooking, it'll create a mushroom stock. To which heavy cream is added. And reduced for another 10 to 15 minutes.
At the end of the reducing process, this mixture is strained.
While that's simmering, the mushrooms can be cut for garnish. I have some shiitake caps here that just get thinly sliced. The mushrooms are cooked right in the finished sauce, so they need to be cut small and thin. And I also have some black trumpet mushrooms, can be sliced up. So after the sauce is strained, it goes into the saute pan with the raw mushrooms.
The mixture is seasoned with salt and pepper.
And while that's cooking, I'm going to season and cut up this piece of foie gras. Into small cubes. sauce needs to reduce for a minute or two and get slightly thickened. And then the cooked pasta, we used tripolini pasta because it's a small noodle, is added directly to the cream. And there shouldn't be any excess cream in the pan once the pasta is added. Add some chives. And while that's heating through, I'm going to saute the foie gras.
Owing to the high fat content of the foie gras cubes, no additional fat is required to saute. The foie gras is cooked very quickly, about 45 seconds, then drained on a towel before presentation.
Pasta spoon into the bowl. Top with some foie gras.
Zarela is a Mexican restaurant on the east side of Manhattan, but you would never know it from the street. There isn't even a sign. Inside, owner-chef Zarela Martinez's forceful personality is prominent. Born in Sonora, she learned cooking from her mother. The menu at Zarela reflects these roots, like this savory appetizer, poblanos rellenos.
There are many ways to skin a cat, and there's many different ways to skin a poblano. One of the ways that I do it, if I'm going to use it for stuffing, is to simply frying that rather than roasting them on the fire, because you can take off all the skin and it doesn't lose any texture at all. So it's very important to make a little hole in it so that you know all the steam can escape and you don't have it won't splatter all over. So we just put the poblanos in here. Just until they turn beige. This is deadly. Of course, you know, they also can be roasted, so it's not a... I mean, it's easy to do it under running water rather than doing it hot like this. Except that then you spread all the oils all over, the chili oils all over your hands. Then everything's too hot. Okay. So that probably the next step would be just to open it up and take out the seeds. Open it up a little bit. Take out the seeds. And have it ready.
Chef Zarela now prepares the stuffing for the poblano.
Okay, right here. So this is one of my favorite fillings of all. I actually did it because it's a takeoff on a famous Mexican dish called chiles en nogada. And normally those chilies you wouldn't make it at this time of the year. You know, you make them only in August and September when you have this particular green not available. But in the United States, we don't get it, so I've made a little adaptation.
First, chopped onion and garlic are sweated.
Then add some shredded chicken, let's see. You know, when I cook chicken, I always put lots of bay leaf to make it very flavorful. I never like to add anything plain. Let's see, the chicken. Some dried apricots. You know, fruit is used a lot in Mexican food, you know, with chili. There's a lot of sweet hot sauces, and I guess that reflects the Mediterranean influence, you know, that the Spaniards brought with them. Olives are also very much used.
Prunes are also added.
I love the effect of the sweet hot taste. Ripe peaches. And then, you know, what I call one of the trinities in Mexican food, which is cumin. This is a way to cook. With everything measured out, we have a little teaspoon of some cinnamon, this is one of my particular bandstand things that I do. I don't use the regular cinnamon that Americans use here, because that's actually not cinnamon, that's cassia. This is what I use. It's called true Ceylon cinnamon. And cloves. This is one of the spice trinities that you see in Mexican food over and over again.
The seasoning is adjusted with some salt and the poblanos are stuffed.
So then basically all you do is just stuff, make sure that all the ingredients are very well distributed.
The base for the sauce is roasted tomatoes.
And some roasted onion and garlic cloves. They're already peeled. We take off this little crust out of the onion. Well, you can keep it if you want, but you can take it off. The rest is all done. We're going to blend this. And then we'll just...
The blended sauce goes over heat and is combined with heavy cream.
And when the cream is reduced enough, you just add it.
This mixture is further reduced. Meanwhile, the chilies go into a hot oven about 400 degrees for 7 minutes.
You want plenty of sauce because it's very, very good. And then you can just take a chili, put it in there. Should I put it back in? And so you've got it.
In the French Quarter of New Orleans, Susan Spicer's Bayona restaurant has emerged as one of the grand dining experiences of the city. Although her cooking is grounded in solid French technique, her menu sparkles with dishes that can't be easily categorized. For example, this delectable smoked duck hash with Calvados sauce. The chef starts the hash with onion and celery.
Cook those for a couple of minutes, almost until they start to get a little color on them. The other ingredients that we'll be using next, we'll put in andouille, which is a smoked pork sausage, kind of the Louisiana area, very popular in a lot of dishes. Apples, our smoked duck, and sweet potatoes. They're starting to get a little bit of color, so you're going to want to go ahead and put the andouille in. stir it around a little bit. Now we're going to put the apple in, put a dice. Fire down a little bit. And the smoked duck that we use, we just buy, you can buy whole smoked ducks. They run probably right around 2 pounds, and you can get a pretty good bit of meat off of them. You can also smoke your own, and when we do that, we usually will soak the ducks or do a little sugar salt marinade, like a little coarse salt and brown sugar. Rub that on the duck and leave it overnight, and then smoke them the next day. You want to see a little bit of those good bits will come off the, you want it to get a little bit of that brown stuff on the bottom of the pan, just as long as it's not burning.
Cubed baked sweet potatoes are also added.
Just have to watch it and give them a poke every now and then in the oven. Pull them out when you think they're still a little bit underdone, because they'll still cook in the skin. You just peel the skin and dice them up. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of, I put in a little tiny bit of sherry. And we're going to put a small amount of flour. Just enough to kind of dry it out a little bit. Coat the vegetables just a little bit so that when you add the stock, it'll form a binder. I'm also at this point going to put in thyme. Chopped fresh thyme and chopped fresh sage. And a little bit of salt. You don't have to put too much seasoning because the duck and the andouille are fairly well seasoned. You can make a stock by roasting the bones from your smoked duck. That's probably the most appropriate thing to do. That's what we use.
Chicken stock may be substituted.
You don't need too much. What you're going to do is you're just going to kind of scrape up those bits.
After cooking a little longer, this mixture is thoroughly chilled.
We wrap it up in little packets. You can just, this is an egg with a little milk. You just very, very lightly. You don't really need much to do this with. You're going to pick up the first 2 ends, the corners, and just have them meet in the middle like that. And then you bring up the other 2 sides and just press the edges together. You can use a little bit of flour if it's too sticky. Just use a little tiny bit of flour to kind of dry it up.
This is standard pie dough.
And you can do little leaves or any sort of pattern you might want. We're just going to keep it pretty simple. Just remember to brush it very lightly with the egg and milk. That'll help it get a pretty glossy golden color. A little bit of butter. And you're going to just pop those in the oven for about 15 minutes at about 375.
The sauce is a reduction of stock, apple juice, apple cider vinegar, shallots, apple jelly, and the apple brandy, Calvados.
Let's do it.
The sauce is finished with butter before presentation.
You can kind of make a little indentation, get a little... So that sort of mixes with the cream. We use a little bit of chopped celery leaves and parsley to kind of sprinkle around the plate. Some pretty celery leaves. Go. That's it.
The refined Grand Miyako Hotel in San Francisco's Japantown is home for Elka, a seafood restaurant that's hot as a firecracker with food writers. And in the kitchen, there's a sort of pan-ethnic celebration going on, orchestrated by executive chef Elka Gilmore. Her cooking is not easy to pigeonhole, but a good example is sturgeon with rice cakes.
This dish has grilled rice cakes. So we're going to take sushi rice, and this is short grain rice grown in California, actually, and press it into these rice molds, although you can do this by hand, but get the nice shape if you do it in a mold. This rice has been cooled down slightly, but never refrigerated, or it gets very tough. So you just take and press this. And one trick is to wet your fingers, as I did. It will prevent the rice from sticking. Then you end up with perfect little rice cakes. And we'll just set these aside, and in a moment we're going to griddle them in a pan with some clarified butter to get them crispy on the outside. We'll saute the sturgeon, and this is California farm-raised sturgeon. It's been marinating in a paste of sake kazu, which are the lees left over from making sake. It's very yeasty rice paste, mirin, and cilantro, or coriander, depending on which ethnicity you are at the moment.
Mirin is rice wine.
So we marinated this for 2 days, and it actually tenderizes the flesh of the sturgeon, which can be a little tough, I guess. Anyway, you want to wipe off most of the paste. This actually has quite a bit of residual sugar in it, so when you saute it, you have to take great care that it doesn't caramelize too quickly and burn. So we'll saute the fish first in a little clarified butter. We want to season it with salt and black pepper. While we're cooking the fish, we can put together the salad. It's a very simple salad of spicy daikon sprouts, and these are actually grown hydroponically, and enoki mushrooms, which are also grown hydroponically. So for aesthetic reasons, you want to try to keep these together in a bunch, and the same with these. Pull them from their thing and just remove the very tip. See how you want to cook these not over high heat but medium heat, because sturgeon needs to be cooked completely through. It's not like tuna or salmon where it's good when it's rare in the center. It really is best when it's completely cooked. It's moister that way. In any case, this is a vinaigrette made with pureed umeboshi plums, which are salty pickled plums from Japan, and they're pickled and flavored with shiso leaf, red shiso leaf, and we've taken them and pureed them with rice wine vinegar and ginger oil and shallot, and that's the vinaigrette for the salad and also the garnish for the plate. So just a little bit on that, and then a little bit on the plate. You can see the flecks of the shiso leaf. That's just about done. And then we'll take another pan and cook the rice cakes. You want the rice cakes to get, again, kind of crispy on the outside.
Season the cakes with a little salt.
And when the rice cakes are done, we're going to take and wrap for a garnish a piece of nori, or Japanese seaweed, and this is nori for sushi. It's the thin silver variety. Sometimes these rice cakes are eaten as snacks, and actually the whole cake is wrapped in a piece of seaweed, but we're just doing it as a garnish. Again, you want to do this over sort of a medium heat so that it gets crispy, but that it heats through the center. If it's too hot, it just gets crispy on the outside, and the rice is still somewhat cool in the center. This dish is one of the most popular items on our menu. We actually have, I think, turned a lot of people on to the joys of eating sturgeon through this dish. Normally, well, the traditional use for kazu marinated fish in Japan is either black cod or salmon. It's an interesting alternative. Anyway, this is pureed umeboshi plums, those Japanese pickled plums. I take and just spread. This is it's sweet and sour and also a little salty, so you want to be judicious with your use. Garnish with the strip of seaweed. And then the rice cake goes here. We arrange the medallions of fish around the rice cake. Garnish with a little enoki salad. And then the whole dish is garnished with a beet essence, which is reduced beet juice and canola oil. It adds sort of a note of sweetness, really complements the umeboshi plum.
Manhattan chef Lynne Aronson began her cooking career in an improbable way. At 13, she became a vegetarian and decided she should learn how to cook. It's an heroic leap from there to co-own a chef of one of New York's flashiest bistros, Lola. Chef Aronson's inventive use of seasoning and product is admirably shown here in her entree, rack of lamb with beef risotto. A lamb rack is coated with olive oil, seasoned with salt and pepper, and put on a grill to sear the outside.
So I'm just going to sear the lamb on the grill for about 3 minutes till it's rare.
Rare indeed, but remember that these chops will be grilled again before service.
And cut it into racks. Into chops, excuse me. To assemble the sauce, you combine red wine, and lamb stock. Add cardamom seed. About 20 to 30 seeds should do.
Go easy with this pungent spice.
Let this simmer for about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, until it's reduced by 3/4.
Chopped garlic and onion begin the beet risotto.
So let these saute until they're translucent, and then add your arborio rice.
Arborio is a short-grain, glutinous-like variety preferred for risotto.
When the rice is coated, you start adding in the white wine slowly. Until it absorbs completely. You stir it constantly. after the white wine is absorbed, you start adding in chicken stock. It's very important that you stir it constantly. That's what gives it the creamy texture. It's so important in a good risotto.
This process is repeated several times and takes about 45 minutes to complete.
Okay. So after the rice has absorbed all the liquid, it's very creamy, but it still should have slight resistance in the grain. You then add in beets that have been roasted in the oven and cubed. The beets are sitting in a little bit of red wine to release, white wine to release the juice so that you can flavor the rice. And then add in some Parmigiano Reggiano. And some fava bean.
A piece of butter finishes the risotto.
Now I'm finishing the rack, the chops on the grill. And each chop should take about 3 minutes to medium rare. This is wilted spinach that you really only need to cook for a matter of seconds, just until it wilts.
The chops are turned once and the reduced sauce has been strained before presentation.
Chops get placed around the risotto. And then finish with the cardamom jus. Sprinkled with some fava.
One of Boston's high-profile chefs is Jodie Adams, who at the time of this taping was executive chef at the regional Italian restaurant Michaela's in Cambridge. She got involved in cooking initially by assisting a Boston writer-teacher. She learned well, and as you're about to see, is a proficient chef and teacher. Her dessert is a mascarpone fig tart.
I'm making a very simple hazelnut crust for this tart that you can do in a food processor, or you can do it by hand. I'm going to do it in the food processor.
Chef Adams starts with a cup of all-purpose flour and a half a cup of chopped toasted hazelnuts.
2 tablespoons of sugar. Pinch of salt. And 4 ounces of butter, which is just about that. And I use unsalted butter. Get better control over the water content. Tends to be fresher and sweeter. So it's fairly fine. I won't be adding any water to this crust, so it can go a little farther than you would normally take a crust in a food processor. As it starts to come together, it's ready. You just want to make sure that it's going to hold. This does not get rolled because it's so crumbly.
The mixture will go into a 9-inch buttered springform pan.
There are times when these gloves are really great in the kitchen, and this is one of them, because the dough won't stick to my fingers. My fingers are so warm that if I push this in with just my hands, the dough will stick to my fingers. This way it'll nicely. And you can get these at pharmacies.
Eventually, the crust will bake at 350 degrees for 10 minutes, removed from the oven and pushed down, then baked an additional 10 minutes at 325 degrees.
Then this goes into the freezer for about half an hour so it firms up. It's pretty soft, as you can see, because of all the butter and the nut oil in it. And if I were to put it in the oven right now, everything would just kind of melt. So it goes into the freezer. You don't need the gloves anymore.
Chef Adams begins the filling.
These are beautiful Kalamata figs. Take off the stem and then cut them into quarters. You could use any kind of fig, but I like these because they have a lot of moisture left in them, and they're a lot of meat. It's about a half a pound of figs. To get them nice and soft, or a little softer, I'm going to steep them in some orange juice and zest. You don't have to use a blood orange. This is just what I happen to have. Zest the lemon. These little tools are the best for this. And then chop it. Goes right in with the figs. That's what a blood orange looks like. The name is self-explanatory. Okay. These don't have a huge amount of juice in them, so well, that's not too bad. Some of them are pretty dry, but it's a beautiful color. It makes a wonderful sorbet.
The figs go over moderate heat, covered.
And let it just steam a little bit.
The custard base is 3 eggs, a tablespoon of flour, the juice of 1 lemon, and half a cup of the Italian cream cheese, mascarpone. Whisk until the sugar has dissolved.
And then a half cup of sugar, which is the same as 2/4 cups.
The cooled figs have absorbed the orange juice.
Then add 3/4 cup of chopped hazelnuts, a pinch of salt
Salt is as important in baking as it is in savory foods. All foods need a balance of salt and acid and sugar, so don't forget the salt.
The tart bakes at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Then the heat is reduced to 350 degrees for 30 minutes.
I'm going to be careful that this doesn't come up too high above the crust. This is the tart that I just made. It's come out of the oven, and this is one that was made by my pastry chef, Tony. She glazes this tart with apricot glaze, which looks beautiful. If you can do that if you like, or for something a little more simple, you can just dust it with a little bit of confectioner sugar, or you can just leave it alone.
Luchetti is the executive pastry chef at Jeremiah Tower's classy Stars restaurant in San Francisco. Her personal star is on the rise. She has written a book on Stars desserts, travels the country demonstrating her dishes, and in 1993 was named one of the top 10 pastry chefs in the U.S. by Chocolatier magazine. Enjoy her artistic version of caramel cream.
First of all, we're going to make the caramel sauce that we're going to put into the caramel cream to serve with the berries. We're going to put our sugar in a small sauce pot with a half a cup of water. We're going to stir that together and put that on the heat. It's important when you're making a caramel to start at a lower heat and let the sugar and the water dissolve. That way the sugar dissolves evenly, and if it starts to boil too rapidly before the sugar is completely dissolved, then you're going to have a greater chance of crystallization. And it doesn't take long for that sugar to dissolve. Okay, the caramel, as you can see, is a nice amber color. It's really important that you get it a nice deep golden color, but at the same time you don't take it too far. If you take it not far enough, then you're just going to not have enough caramel flavor. Too far and it'll be burned. We're going to slowly add our cream now, and you want to be very, very careful because, as you can see, the cream is so cold that it makes the caramel sputter and bubble. And if you're not careful, you'll burn yourself.
This is 1 3/4 cup plus 2/3 of a cup of heavy cream.
So just keep adding a little bit at a time and stirring it in well. And once the mixture is cooled down a bit, you can add the rest in.
Cool to room temperature before proceeding.
Here's our cooled caramel sauce. And we're going to add our mascarpone.
This is about 16 ounces of the Italian cream cheese.
And then we're going to stir this in together. You can see it's getting a nice caramel color, which will go very nicely with the berries. The raspberries and the blackberries will bring out the caramel flavor, and the caramel flavor will also heighten the flavor of the berries. So in texture, this is just a little bit thick for the plate to serve with berries, so we're just going to add a little bit of cream to it. You can see this is a very simple dish to prepare, and to make great desserts you don't have to necessarily be very fancy. When you're serving something like fresh fruit, you want the dessert to taste like the fresh fruit. Oftentimes people create desserts where the fruit flavors just get masked and it doesn't really matter, and you can't even tell the difference that you're eating fresh fruit. Add a little bit more cream. This has lightened up the consistency quite a bit, and it'll be very nice on the plate. And it has a nice, silky, very smooth texture. It's better to do this by hand than in a mixer, because in a mixer you risk over whipping the cream, and then it makes a grainier texture. And one of the nicest things about a cream is when it has a smooth, very, very silky texture and feels great in your mouth.
Part of the garnish starts with melted white chocolate spread onto parchment.
And then we're going to spread it out very thinly into a rectangle. You don't have to be too precise about the shape. You just want to make sure that it's a nice, even, and very thin. Okay, now we're going to take the raspberry sauce and just drizzle it across the top. A squirt bottle works really well. If you don't have one, you could use a small teapot. But you just want to make sure you have a nice thin line. And we're just going to swirl with a toothpick. Make sure you use one with a blunt end because you don't want to tear the paper. And just swirl this in. Make sure your raspberry sauce is a little bit warmer than just right out of the refrigerator. You want it room temperature so it doesn't start to seize, make the white chocolate seize, and then the chocolate and the raspberry will separate when you try to swirl it. This is a really nice garnish that you can use on any dessert. You can even serve it on a candy plate by itself. And then we'll just let this dry, let it harden. It only takes about 15 minutes or so to harden. And then we're just going to put a few berries around. You can also vary the kind of berries that you use. You could use blueberries or strawberries. And then we're going to put a little bit of berry sauce, raspberry and blackberry, around the fruit just to kind of bring it all together and also make it so the dessert isn't, give it a little bit of moisture. We can also put a little bit of color on the top of the cream. And then we'll take our brittle pieces and stick them in right in the center. As you can see, you have a very nice dessert that's very, very simple to prepare, but is very elegant at the same time.
Two of Chicago's most recent stars are Rick Tremonto and his wife Gale Gand, working out of Trio in Evanston. The new restaurant is making waves, and Gale Gand's desserts are one of the reasons. Esquire's John Mariani called her the best pastry chef in Chicago. Here is her chocolate filo with ganache.
And the first thing we need to do, we usually do it either a day ahead of time or early in the morning, is make the mocha ganache for it. So we need to warm up our cream and milk. It's 250 grams of each. We're going to add to that 100 grams of sugar. And for a little flavor, stick half a vanilla bean in. So you take your vanilla bean and split it in half. Throw 1/2 in. And then 25 grams of ground coffee. Don't use decaf. Okay. I'm going to just infuse that right in.
When the ingredients are infused, they are poured over 500 grams of Valrhona, bittersweet chocolate.
You're going to pour it over your chocolate. So you've got coffee grounds right there. Just pass it right through. That's great. Just whisk it slowly. The heat from the cream will melt the chocolate. Great. And once your chocolate's all melted and whisked in, you refrigerate this overnight or at least 8 hours. Next thing we're going to do is make our chocolate filo. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup cocoa and a 1/2 cup of clarified butter. I'm just going to whisk those two ingredients together. We're going to use this to brush the filo with. Whisk it slowly. When you're working with filo, you always want to keep it covered by a damp cloth. Okay. Very lightly damp. Okay, what we're going to do is take 1 sheet of filo. So sit down, cover up your old stuff. You're going to brush it with this cocoa and clarified butter. Kind of spatter it first. really carefully brush it. It wants to tear easily. So you want to just really lightly brush it and hold it down so it can't move. There we go. You don't want to put too much on or it'll get really soggy and too greasy. There we go. And now just sprinkle it with sugar.
This procedure is repeated 2 more times. It goes onto a parchment-lined sheet pan.
It's lined with parchment paper. Really carefully pick it up, move it over to your sheet pan. Okay? And then what you want to do, I'm going to come back. So you want to put parchment paper on top of it as well. Okay? And then I'm going to weight the whole thing down with a heavier pan to keep it nice and flat. And then bake it in the oven at 375.
Bake for about 15 minutes. A garnish includes whipped cream flavored with brown sugar, chopped ginger, and grated orange peel.
So I've got 2 cups of cream here. And I'm going to add to that 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm just going to whip that till it's sort of loose peaks. You want to make sure you add the sugar at the beginning so that it dissolves.
Half of the whipped cream brown sugar mixture will be retained, and the grated orange and ginger will go into the other half. After the chocolate phyllo has cooled, it is broken into triangles for presentation.
What we're going to do is crack it to create triangles of dough. So you're going to crack this corner off like that. That's one. Crack another corner off. 2.
Now the spectacular presentation.
First thing we're going to do, put some mango sauce on the bottom. And put another glass strip on top. Okay? I'm going to use a little bit of that brown sugar cream we made earlier. Just a little thick. Do some little ribbons of that on the plate. And I'm going to put cranberry on top of that. Okay. Now we're going to build. What you do is you put down 1 piece of phyllo. There we go. On top of that, we're going to put some caramelized pear.
First, the pear is sprinkled with sugar.
Just going to torch it. I'm going to caramelize the sugar. Get a little bit of blackened edge on the pear, so you can really see how it's fanned. It kind of accentuates the shade. Great. Now what we want to do is put 1 layer of your mocha ganache on the bottom of your first layer of phyllo. There we go. We're going to top that with this caramelized pears. So that's inside. And then you're going to put some of your ginger cream on top of that. It'll melt slightly, that's okay. Top it with another layer of phyllo. Try and have the shapes kind of go in contrasting directions. Put a little more ganache on top. Put it right in the center so that it doesn't go unbalanced. Spread it out carefully. A little more of your ginger, orange cream. And we'll leave the pear off the top layer so that it doesn't fall over. Top it with your last piece of phyllo. Great. Now you're going to place 1 garnished pear here would be good. Kind of look and see where it's got a space. And yeah, a little bit of powdered sugar at one side.